G'day punters, welcome to Victims of the Punt. We're taking a look at the Group 1 Epsom meeting from Randwick, but there's been a whole heap of other goings on. There was plenty happening on the track. Mark Shean, Rhoden Rob Scurry here to join me. Mark Shean, how did you see the day overall?
Look, a good day's racing. I thought the fence might have been slightly off. I'm not sure if the boys agree with that. Certainly later in the day, I think it was an advantage to get off the rail, but I'd be forgiving if horses that were right on the fence all day.
Okay, Mark Rhoden, is that how you saw it?
Yeah, you look at the punting form lanes data, it's second half of the field and lane 3+ in the run was where most of the winners came from. There's still some good runs nearer the fence, like Hinged in the Phillies race, was very good up the inside. Big Parade, wasn't on the fence, but sat nearest the fence in the last as well. Zorak ran quite well on the Metrop up the inside as well. So maybe those runs had more merit than that it appears at face value.
Yep. And Rob Scurry, welcome to you. How'd you handle the day overall?
Not too bad. I thought the track played fairly well. I think I tweeted Ice-Sparked is my biggest ever moral victory horse of my whole life. I thought that should have... It almost fell over. I thought anyway, we'll get to the race. But yeah, look, I thought it was a good day. It was an exciting race, Masked Crusader. I'd love to have seen the 2-year-olds at the flesh, but you know, what can you do?
Well, you mentioned the 2-year-olds. Let's just quickly have a chat about Coolangatta. It's broken the class benchmark. It's run the 4th fastest last 200 on the card. Mark Shean, there was no real money for it though, was there?
No, it was a surprising drift. 230 all in at the start of the week, backed into odds on, and then on race day gets out in SP's 6-4 without a lot of movement for the other runners. And honestly, there was no second pick off the trials. Crusader ended up running second and just showed no speed in its trial and no speed on race day. I don't know what the bookies were hoping for there, but seriously, there was dead set no second pick.
Mark Rhoden, is there any real reason that you can put your finger on as to why that might happen?
No, I think in cases like this, it just means that none of the punters who are marked up by the big bookies who move the market have backed it. So they just keep easing it out, but till it finds its level. Betfair was 290, so it can't SP much shorter than 250, can it? When there's no money on Betfair for it. So there was no great snowing really in the race, but they really were specking, double-figure odds chances in numbers, like 4 or 5 of them. So and no push for the favourite, and that's how it panned out.
Okay. And
the market race.
Yeah. Rob, I know it's hard through the TV, but what did you think on type, on what you were able to tell?
Looked athletic, like not my particular style of 2-year-old. I thought, it looked like I prefer sort of more masculine, stronger types fillies. But it looked like it walked well, and just far too good, far too different class. So what price in the Golden Slipper?
We have to be a bit careful though. Enthar was probably just as impressive last year, and it was a similar scenario with her. Trialled brilliantly, got in the same sort of lane, and ran similar figures. Although this has gone a bit better on Saturday, but it's a long way to go yet.
Wasn't there one the year before in the yellow and blue colours that I thought was fantastic? We'd only did it once, I think.
The Snowden colour. No. It's starting with P. The one that it bucked off Huey one time. It's in the blue and white, yellow colours, starting with P. It won the Gimcrack, I think, not the Phillies race, for Chris Waller. But Enthar is more my style. She was a big, strong masculine who dwarfed a lot of them. I remember seeing her, and then Mallory was in that race as well, who looked very much underdone that day. And turns out Mallory's possibly much better than Enthar, but who knows?
All right, well, let's skip through to race 5, the Hill Stakes over 2,000. Think It Over has won here, just edging out Shared Ambition, very slow tempo, and by very slow, 7.6 lengths slow to the 600. Rob, I'll start with you.
Look, he's been one of mine, this horse, Think It Over. I've backed it multiple times. I just couldn't get it to that. I couldn't feel comfortable, sending a big unit bet at $1.90. And he's got what a lot of good horses have, which is a real will to win. And he's got there in a close finish again. So, that's a big tick to him. He did that in the Rider, he just got there the other day. And yeah, he's just won again. But what's he beat? Cepheus has run third, a few lengths off. Like, really, 2,000 metre horses.
Yeah. Mark Shean, what are your thoughts on this race?
Yeah, well, it wasn't much of a race, was it? We expected to be slow speed, and that's sort of how it panned out. And it was first two round the home turn. As you mentioned, the pace there was just a walk in the park, almost 65 seconds for the first 1,000. So I don't know if you can deduce a lot out of it. I think he was gassed at the finish, though, think it over. I think, a strong 2,000 metres might see him right out against better opposition.
Yep. And Mark Rhoden, anything to follow out of this for you?
No, I had something in Kia Nautique, and you can't sack him off that. It just took absolutely zero part in the race. So it's a farcical tempo. And why on earth Duace and Kia Nautique were detached from the main body of the field and pulling, like 3, 4, 5 lengths off fourth spot, when they're going a canter. There was just no reason for them to be giving up that much of a start. It was bizarre. It's pace over position to the nth degree. It was awful rides on both. Duace did nothing in their own home. Kia Nautique held its spot and wasn't killed late either. I'd be forgiving of him, but if that's going to be their tactics, come hell or high water, he won't win many races. But just a pretty ordinary race all around, I thought.
Okay. The Premier Stakes over 1,200 was race 6, even tempo event, 1.2 lengths fast to the 600. Masked Crusader, visually impressive, but we'll get your thoughts. Rob Scurry to start with.
Well, Mike Shean's word are ringing in my ears. It was disgusting last start, and he didn't look disgusting. He looked good. So I was happy enough to back him. I thought the 1,200 metres would really suit. Something told me that, I don't know, Ross Fire might have had second up syndrome. I heard it's now injured. But yeah, it looked great. Old standout. He's always this. I think Lizzie made the pun. Bit of a standout in the yard. He's one that always kind of catches my eye. He's run second here, so maybe the form's not that strong. And what can you do with Masked Crusader if he gives Eduardo and Nature Strip a start? He's going to struggle to beat him, you'd think.
Yeah, Mark Shean, exactly that question. What do you think?
Well, I don't think you can flop out like that and beat those good horses. They're going to have to cut each other mad in front, Eduardo and Masked Crusader and Nature Strip to put it on for him. But you can't be giving those horses, like he did in the TJ, that much start. He's just got no speed at all. Like, he paraded a lot better on Saturday, and luckily I did switch to him after he looked 10 lengths better in the yard, and unfortunately Rothfire looks to have come through that run no good. So hopefully he's all okay for him in the future. Standout running second's got to be a question mark. I know they've run the time, but he's been in the nursing home for about 6 months, hasn't he? Fair dinkum. So I don't know what you do. He's just going to be giving him too much start, I think, Masked Crusader.
Yeah, Mark
Decent.
Running. Oh, sorry,
Rob. Mate. I shouldn't have jumped in there. He's a decent fresh horse standout, I think. He seems to run best fresh. So maybe watch it, be very wary of him.
Yeah. Mark Rhoden, I'm just looking at Masked Crusader's figures, and he's only really been in the 2 fast tempo races, a lot of very slowly run races where he's producing these big splits late. Is there maybe a slight query if he goes to an Everest and it's producing some sort of obscene tempo that he's never seen before, that he might not be able to handle it?
Yeah, it's funny. It should suit him because he doesn't have the early speed. That's not always the case, It's like horses that, some horses flash home at the end of 1,000 but can't run 1,100 or 1,200, There's just a certain way they've got to run their race. And I was looking at it this morning, and it's a good overall time, and his sections are great. They often are, late sections. For the class, the tempo's only even, I think. Jonker didn't jump, so there wasn't... That just took a little bit of the early speed out of the race. I mean, there's still obviously enough speed for him to get the job done, but, yeah, maybe flashing home when he can still be in touch, but the tempo hasn't been that hot. I'm not sure. I don't think he's good enough. I mean, you would think that one of Nature Strip, Classic Legend, Eduardo, G3 would be too good for him. He just can't be giving away lengths and lengths and lengths to them and expecting to get over the top of them. But, I mean, all 4 of them would have to stop. I mean, if it's going to suit him, it's going to suit Classic Legend as well. So I think he'd need a lot to go right to actually win the Everest.
I wonder if they decide to ride Lost to running for speed. Look, he's won every time that he's led, and now they're trying to get him to settle. Do they change tactics in the Everest to just let him go?
Wow, gee, I mean, that just muddies the waters further, doesn't it? Because, I mean, Eduardo only knows one way. I suppose they could then try and take a sit on nature strip and get him to settle. If they just decide out of the gates not to take part early and hopefully sit third off them. But, yeah, that would make it interesting if they did that.
Okay, let's have a look at the flight stakes. Group 1 for the 3-year-old fillies over the mile. Very fast tempo here, 6 lengths fast, 2 to 600 on Punting forms data. Never been kissed, settled third and run. And at big odds, has held off Hinged. Well, I know a few people who were on course at Kalgoorlie who backed Hinge and were not happy. Rob, I'll start with yourself.
Look, I just kept going with 4 moves ahead. Obviously, hearing that speed, obviously not suiting her. She's, again, she got her head up a little bit in the run, but I do think 1600 is probably not her go. It's a logical runner in the race, and when the rain came, that gave me a bit more confidence that she could run a race. Look, I don't know much about these fillies, to be honest, outside, what I thought were the good ones, and Op Pump, a BM94 type horse to win a Group 1. So, I don't know. Mark Shean.
Well, I think this started a trend for the day, showing that horses that race wide at Randwick on the 18th of September, Mars Crusader, Never Been Kissed, Private Eye, Montefilia, all sat off the rail where it was a swamp. And this started the trend of the day. Look, I didn't find it in my balls on the race, but it actually helped me later in the day, thinking Private Eye, was in the wrong part of the track and had a saver on it. But it just shows you've got to do your videos to see what was in the right lane and what was in the wrong lane. And certainly this winner, I didn't back it, but I'm just saying it was definitely in the wrong lane last time out.
Yep, Mark Rhoden. It was wide without cover as well. So, I mean, if you had followed it coming off those first 2 starts where it won both, or albeit at Hawkesbury and Newcastle, I guess you could have been forgiving to follow your money at odds.
Yeah, I mean, it was easy to forgive in the T-Rows. It was not only wide, but no cover, I think. But, it had sort of raced on speed in a walk at Newcastle and forward in. I didn't think there was much horse there, but maybe it's one unsuited at Newcastle. Maybe it needs its fast speed and a bit more ground. I mean, on time it's done okay. It's done a reasonable job here. Sat up on a fast speed and kept going when plenty of others, even, the favourites, were dropping off. I think there's merit in the run, and there's certainly merit in Hinge's run, who's came through a different race, came through the race of the Colts first up, and it strung wins together in Brisbane, so it might have some ability. I mean, there's no surrounds here or winces, but there's merit in the runs of the place getters, I think. Particularly Hinge, who came up the inside, which we're saying was probably worse ground.
Yeah, and as Rob's pointed out a few times so far this season, it can be a little bit difficult trying to get a line on how good some of these 3-year-olds are. So what you do with the ones at the top end of the market?
Just if it, they've only run 0.24. Is it 0.24 slower than the Epsom? So
yep.
That's pretty good.
Yep, exactly right. Okay, let's have a look at that race, the Epsom, the Group 1 mile race. 5.5 lengths fast, 2 to 600, so another very fast tempo there. Private Eye, race to race, Group 1 double for Regan Bayliss, has knocked off Aaron Mayo, who I had your thoughts in my head, Mark Rhoden, I think, from the previous show, wasn't it?
No, Mark Shean.
Mark Shean, sorry, apologies. But yes, had a decent crack at Aaron Mayo, and I was trying to watch it on a tiny screen and wasn't sure what happened there. But anyway, Rob, I'll start with yourself. Run us through the Epsom, your thoughts leading into the race.
Look, I thought Riodini got a bit short, and I thought that the pace might be on. So I was, and the rain came in this time. So I sent out a tip for Ice Bath at about $14, $15, about an hour before the race, and I ended up having something on the winner as well, as I thought, with the pace on it, it would get a chance to run on it, and look well weighted to me. With Riodini, sort of not going a yard. I just put it in my chat group, and just got crickets. But I said Ice Bath is 6-4 in this race if it jumps. If it could sit 3 wide, no cover, and win. What it did from before the corner, like you don't get more pony than that Dolan had. And all he had to do, he's done that thing where he's going, okay, I'm going to go, instead of going around the field where Private Eye was, I'm going to go in between one horse and save like a length. And he's proceeded to get Hungry Heart, which is a horse I can't stand. It's just held him in the whole way. Just never got a crack at it. And I think it was an absolute certainty beaten. I'm obviously talking through my pocket. It was a much bigger result. I've had some really big goes at this horse at some big prices, and I've been stiff again. And in the Randwick Mile, he's just got knocked off. I think Sherry gave it a ripper in the Doncaster. The third horse was in my mind, back in my mind, Dalasan. He seems to be well weighted. He's a proper middle distance horse. Not sure where he goes. Maybe a race like the Emirates at the end of the Flemington Carnival, he could win. But yeah, look, I'm I'm going to be backing up again. Entrever versus Ice Bath. If there's a little bit of rain around, I'll be going again.
Okay, so Mark Shean, you've obviously saved on Private Eye, but Aramayo would have been the bigger result.
Yeah, big. I was on Aramayo and Ice Bath, and the cutout on the winner, luckily, but Aramayo was a big result. I thought it was fun when it got the split, but anyway, but Ice Bath was a horror watch, wasn't it? Honestly, I agree with Rob. I don't know why they try coming to the turn, just get to the outside. Yeah, they're trying to save a neck or a head. And how many times do they run into trouble? It just does my head in. Private Eye, he was wide at his back and then hooked to the extreme outside, won him the race. So, Ice Bath again. You'd be off your head if you owned it. Beating a lip in a Doncaster, beating a lip in the Golden Eagle, and probably should have won an Epsom. So, I know it's won plenty of prize money, but you'd be shaking your head.
Indeed. Was there anything back in the field that you thought, besides Ice Bath, that you'd be happy to follow next start?
No, I don't think anything really jumped out of the ground. That Cascadian's a little bit of a better run, so maybe in the mile race in, what they call it now, they change the name of it every year, Taylor or whatever it is, I don't know. It might be a chance there, but look, Joe Pride's done a good job with this horse, Private Eye. He didn't sweat on Saturday, which was something I did mention at Kembla. He sweated at Kembla. He sweated again at Randwick last time out. He didn't sweat first up, and he didn't sweat on Saturday. So it's a bit of a guide with that horse, even though he has won first up sweating. But through his after a couple of runs, you just have to note that with him.
Okay. Mark Rhoden, how did you see the Epsom in the review?
I ended up on Ice Bath as well when the rain started falling, so we've all gone down there. I didn't save on Private Eye, Rob was even more angry after the race than I was, despite that he won on the race and I didn't, and he was absolutely ropeable, and I was just mildly upset. But anyway, that's different strokes.
Mark, remember we were watching the parade and Dicko was watching it. He was like, "Who is this?" He got really excited about Ice Bath. He thought he couldn't parade any better, and I'm just like, we're just like rubbing our hands.
And
anyway,
given the speed they went, they're not going to get a better chance to win a big race than that. It was actually put on for it, and take advantage. On Red, I backed Redini early. I tried to construct this narrative whereby Rachel King might get it going the same sort of tempo and let some of those other things go. She said she was travelling well outside the leader and carved up, but the fact of the matter is that they were going 1,000,000 miles an hour. I think Shane Chelier might have a point. They don't actually know how fast they're going, do they?
No.
It might have felt like it was travelling well, but it was going a much faster tempo than it had in its last two runs. That's the excuse for it, but it's also probably end of prep and wants dry, but that might be him for this preparation. I saw Cascadian got on heels a couple of times, no room weight, but he's sort of weighted out of these handicaps more or less now, and he's not quite right for age class, so he's going to just need things to fall into place for him to win again. The Ice Bath horror story. How about that?
And what price could you mark it now? Saying Riordan is millions.
Yeah.
And it jumps.
Well, I had it. Look, after adjusting for the rain and pattern, I had Riordan about. Riordan probably should have been a bet for me. I probably had it about $5.50. So if you take it, and I had Ice Bath $7. So If you just bin Rhoden, you probably got it around the $455 mark.
Okay. Well, let's have a look at the Metrop 2400 metre race. Fast tempo, 4.8 lengths fast, 2 to 600. Montefilia has knocked off on Punt, and it was Harpo Marks and Zarek in to finish in the minors. Rob, run us through the stays here.
Right, I was still in a coma at this stage. I was just what I had a small play on She's Ideal. I thought to run the other day, even though she got the perfect ride. I had just a small play on that. I'm a bit annoyed. Harpo Marks, I backed that in the Newcastle Cup, and it's run well. But yeah, Montefilia's got 2400. I couldn't have found it. On Tont, I see he's not much better than Fun Facts to my eyes. So just Sydney Stayers, they're no good.
Okay, Mark Shean, did you end up playing in the race?
I lost. I thought she looked stronger this time in, but I still doubted her at the trip and got that totally wrong. And then she sat 3 wide on a limb most of the way as well, or at least 3 wide. So good effort. Carried a big weight as well for a mare. So as I said, I was totally wrong there. I thought Luncey's was a bit of a hidden run here. I'll make Robbie Dolan again. Look, I stood up for Robbie last week, but he's had an off day here on Saturday. I know he drew 1, but it had some trouble in the straight. So it might be a horse who could go to Melbourne in a, I don't know, Moonee Valley Cup or something like that, probably just below the top rung, and might be competitive. Zarek also got caught in the worst part of the track, but both of those drew inside. So I suppose you have to be a little bit forgiving, because I think by race number 9, the fence was definitely right off.
Okay. Mark Rhoden, what do you do with the winner, Montefilia? Obviously, first win at 2400, but if it goes to a race in Melbourne or something like that?
Yeah. Are they still talking Caulfield Cup? You wouldn't.
Definitely, yes.
They are, yes?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's a funny year with, no or fewer imports running in these big races. So it's probably the right year to go for it if you've got a stayer, in inverted commas, of this calibre. But, yeah, she's B grade. I had a bit of no bet regret here. I wanted to be on her, and I was just waiting for around $7.58, which some places bet, and I thought, I won't bet early. I'll see what the track's doing. But by the time I came to wanting to back it, everyone had worked out that the track might actually suit her, and she was 8 into about 6, and I decided to go, and home she goes, of course. But yeah, like Rob, I was a bit sick of the whole thing after Ice Bath and wasn't going to force a bet. But I just concur with those things up the inside that Mark said. On Tont, great run on the back up. He very honest on pace though. He was unproven at 2400 before last week as well. He's got that string to his bow. Not much more to say.
Let's have a look at the last very slow tempo here. 8.4 lengths slow to the 600, and Big Parade has held off Gravina. Rob, were you interested in the last?
Apparently not.
Oh, you're on mute, Rob. Go again.
Sorry, mate. I actually backed it because it got out to such a big price. Gravina looked a bit sweaty. She can get sweaty anyway, but I was just like, in my mind, I've saved 5 units the other week at Kembla Grange when it got to $1.90 Big Parade. So I thought, well, I can have something on it here at $5.50, just to win those 5 units, and that's about what I did. So it was a good ride, good watch. It's a good horse. It's hard to catch. Maybe a bit of a nature strip about it. In that you need $3 to back it.
Mark Shean.
Well, I think all the talk is about the ride on Gravina here. Bookies a little bit blessed, went up $7 and would start their SP evens. This has broken the land speed record, the last 6 and 400 Gravina. Fair income, well, you'd have to say given none. Just necked out of the barrier, just looked around. I know it's not a good spot when there's a roughie outside, you're pinning you in, but didn't try and take up a position early. Horror watch, another horror watch if you're on it.
Yeah,
I wasn't, but horror watch.
And just looking at some of these final splits, Mark Rhoden, you probably don't see a bigger final 200 split than that.
No, yeah. I think the thinking was that Big Parade would be up there, at least contesting the lead, but they didn't. They were happy to take a sit, which took a fair bit of speed out of the race. So they only had one plan that was going back, and that plan looked in tatters after about 400 metres. I'm surprised it got as close as it did. I thought there was too big a gap in the price, so I was going to back Big Parade, then didn't because of the inside gate, and I thought, if it's leading on the inside, I don't know if that's much good, but came out perfectly for it. And I thought Gravina had absolutely no chance at the halfway mark, and to get as close as it did was a huge run. Look, his form is a bit, he has some outlying peaks and some less flattering performances as well. He's put on 2 really good runs without winning so far this prep. They might have missed their chance. That's all I'm saying. He did win at a really short price after. I backed him at big odds and he flew, looked like far left, and he came out at evens odds on something absolutely ground away and won by a head or something. He may only have a certain number of runs per prep in him, so they might have missed their chance. And you can guarantee he's going to go up. He's not going to be missed next time out either.
I will say in his defence, though, most of his best form has been on rain-affected tracks, and he was on a dry track on Saturday. So I think he may actually be going a lot better this time in, because all his wins had been on, at least a 5 or worse.
It's true.
Yeah.
I thought the 2 wins at the end of his last prep, the really good one was on about a 5, and I think it was softer and at Randwick the second day. So
and he was probably in the worst round that day.
But I don't know that he wants it heavy necessarily.
Look, that brings us to the end. I'll get some horses to follow from each of you. But Mark Shean, I'll start with yourself.
Well, obviously, I think Gravina picks himself. Look, I don't think there's many to follow out of the meeting, really. I think we've spoken about the unlucky runners. We've all done our head in with Ice Bath and Gravina. So, no, I haven't got anything that we haven't spoken about at this stage.
Okay. Mark Rhoden, yourself?
I think... just to circle back to what Mark was saying before about the previous Randwick meeting, maybe be forgiving of horses making their runs up the inside on Saturday. Be forgiving of those making their runs wide the last time. Might be the reverse. It might not be as pronounced as that either, but certainly worth keeping an eye on. So horses like Hinge, Zarek, Lindsay, they've all been mentioned. But just, do your videos and be forgiving of those in those spots.
Okay. And Rob Scurry, I'll get 1 or 2 from yourself.
Ice Bath. That's it. I haven't been to the race for a long time, so I'm just following my horses, and she's one of mine. I still like her, even though could have bought a car with even in one of those results.
Yep. Well, you won't be too far off getting back on course either, so you must be champing at the bit to get to see some of these.
Yeah, man. I can't wait. It's only two and a bit weeks.
Yep, exactly right.
But have you checked your email, Mark Shean? You ballot? You get your ballot in for the Everest?
I've nominated myself, but look, I just didn't want to pay the $690 a head for one of the hospitality rooms, so I've decided to just go on the ballot for downstairs. But I don't know if I'll get in.
It's nothing worse than finding yourself at a lunch that you don't want to be at because you want to be looking at the horses in the yard and you can't get to the yard because you're in the wrong section.
$690.
You should put up a market on that.
You probably have to stay in your spot, would you?
Yeah. I don't know what they're going to do.
Yeah, it will be. It'll be. It'll be a narc's paradise. Don't move. Sit there. Stand there.
You can only get it standing up. I used to say when the previous lockdown, you had to sit down. You can only get it standing up.
Well, anyway, you'd think they'd want us to go outside, as the science suggests that you're better off outside. But anyway, we should put a poll on Twitter or something. Will Shean get a GA ticket into?
More about you, Rob. You're the man.
Well, I'm not allowed until the Monday after. Anyway.
Well,
You've shelved yourself there. I wouldn't have said anything.
Can we edit that out?
We'll bleep that out. It'll be fine. The week ahead: Rosehill Wednesday, Gosford Thursday, Goulburn and Randwick Saturday. That's the Spring Champion Stakes plus the Silver Bird Race and the Roman Console, the Stan Fox, and then Hawkesbury on Sunday. So Mark Shean, it's another busy week.
It is a busy week. We didn't mention the $500,000 thrown away on the additional Hill Stakes prize money as well to keep all those good horses here, which didn't quite work out. So it's become a half brother to the Bondi, the Hill.
Yeah, it has.
Race of the century, wasn't it? For $1 million. God.
Indeed, it is. Mark Rhoden, it's a busy week for yourself, though. I mean, they're all busy weeks, but this is particularly busy.
This is ridiculous. We've got Warwick Farm today, plus all those meetings you mentioned up to Hawkesbury on Sunday. Then they've got bloody Newcastle on Tuesday. And that leads into Everest week, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Going to a few early nights, I think, over the next fortnight.
Yeah, fair enough as well. All right, guys, thank you very much for joining me. We'll catch you up on Friday to preview the Spring Champion Stakes. Until then, have a good week. Go well.